Let me tell you a small story. This is again an intuitive story which came out of me through His grace. One king had a guru, and this king one day asked the guru to advise him to practice some spiritual things or to study some spiritual scriptures. Now the guru told to the king that there is no other book to be read by you. That is not necessary. You can read only one particular book, that is enough. Now the king told, tell me something bigger. Why only one book? I have enough time. I can read a lot of things. King arrogantly told. But still the guru told, if you want to read, I can tell you to read Prasthanatraya, Shruti, Smriti and Sutra. But in the beginning, let me tell you only one thing. Read the Smriti. Smriti is the Bhagavadgeetha. You read the Bhagavadgeetha as such completely, that is enough. So this is what the Guru advised to the king. King said, all right, what is there in that? Reading one book is not great for me. I'll read it. And the king got a copy of Bhagavad Gita for himself in an intention to read. And Guru thought, or the spiritual master thought, the king will involve himself in reading the Bhagavad Gita. Almost a year over. After about a year, one day the king met the Guru once again and he told, even though I asked you to advise me to read something great, and even though you told me to read the Bhagavad Gita, even though I got that book, my time is lost in the maintenance of the kingdom itself. I remain busy always. So I don't find time to read the whole of the Bhagavad Gita. It is really having 18 chapters which are difficult for me to read. You simplify my task somehow. I want to have my spiritual pursuit, so simplify my task somehow. Okay, then the Guru told, okay, let me simplify the task for you. Instead of reading the complete Bhagavad Gita, read only the 3rd chapter, that is enough. And the king agreed. King said, okay, fine, I'll read only the 3rd chapter. And he went back. Again, almost a year over. After about a year, again the king came back to the spiritual master or the Guru. And he told, I'm coming you second time for the same reason. You told me to read the 3rd chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, but because of my busy schedule, I am not finding time to read the whole chapter. That chapter contains so many verses. Now you simplify my task and you tell me any one particular verse which I can read and understand. Okay, then the Guru told, fine. In the 3rd chapter, there is one verse called Karmanyevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phalaheturbu ma te sangostu karmani. That one particular verse you completely understand. You keep on studying more about that one particular verse, that is enough. And the king said, okay, fine, only one verse, no, I can study and then I can understand. And he went back. But the king, even though he went through that particular verse, he could not understand the essence or the teaching of that particular verse. Meanwhile, what happened? Enemies attacked the kingdom, and this king went to have a battle with the enemies, and in that battle, the king died. After the king died, the king's son became the next king. The prince became the king, and the prince was taking care of the kingdom, and he conquered those enemies gradually. Now the king had come to the spiritual master. Initially, the Guru advised him to read the Bhagavad Gita. Later on, he advised him to read the third chapter. Later on, he advised him to go through only one particular shloka or verse in the third chapter. The king died in the war. Now his son, he knew that his father was going to this particular guru for some advices. Now the son also, after some time, went to the guru and told him, I had known that my father used to come to you for some spiritual advices. Now as he is not there, I am also coming to you. Please advise me something so that I can also develop the spiritual attitude as such, or I can enhance myself with the spiritual learning. Now the spiritual master told him, okay, with your father I had a different approach. Now let me have a reverse approach with you. Let me tell you to read one particular verse in the third chapter of the Bhagavadgeetha. And the young prince or the young king said, one verse, fine. One verse, fine. And he went back. The guru had told him to read that particular one verse, Karmanyevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadhachana ma karma phalaheturbhu mate sangostu karmani. And the young king went back. After about a week, the young king came back. And the young king told to the spiritual master, you are actually humiliating me, or you are actually insulting me. I am highly capable, but you are telling me to read only one verse. That has upset me. I did not open the book also. I did not read that shloka also, because I did not feel like reading one verse. My capacity is much larger, and actually you are giving me a very small task. Now the spiritual master told, I had told your father also in some other way, and he said he is capable of reading many good things. I had told him about Prasthanatraya. Still, because I knew that Prasthanatraya is much bigger task, I had told him to read the whole of the Bhagavad-Gita. He could not do it. Now you are telling that I am insulting you by giving you one verse. Okay, let me relax now. I'll ask you to read the third chapter. Read the third chapter of the Bhagavad-Gita. And then come back to me. This young king went back again. After about a week, he came back to the spiritual master once again, saying, again you are insulting me. Earlier you gave me one verse. Now you are telling me only to read one chapter, whereas I have the much bigger ability to digest many things. You tell me to read the Prasthanatraya also. I will read and digest. But you are telling me to read one chapter. Again, I did not open the book at all, because you are actually demeaning me. Okay, then the guru told, okay, fine. If your ego is hurt that way, now you read the complete Bhagavad-Gita. Because your father did not do whatever I told him to do, I tried the reverse formula with you. Now, if you think I am humiliating you, you can go back and you try to read the Bhagavad-Gita. The boy said, okay. The young king, I can't say boy, young man, he went back. But he did not open the Bhagavad-Gita, he did not read it. He was thinking of reading it, maybe tomorrow, maybe tomorrow, maybe tomorrow. And he went on that way. He did not open the book also. His father kept on saying that because of his busy schedule, he did not find time. Now this young king, even when he had time also, he was busy with some of his other lavish tasks. He was showing off as a king always. And he also did not open the Bhagavad Gita, he did not read at all. After some time, again those enemies attacked the kingdom, and this young king also died in that battle. Now the queen had a young son, very young son. And the queen had to wait until the young son becomes older so as to manage the kingdom. The queen had faithful ministers. Along with the faithful ministers, the queen started managing the whole kingdom now. And the queen gradually made her army stronger, and she secured the borders so that there should not be any more enemy attacks. Because her husband was also careless, her elder son was also careless. Both had lost their lives in the battle. So gradually, because she was wise enough to make the border secure, there were no enemy attacks and the kingdom was secure. Now this queen went to the same guru. She had known that her husband also had gone there, her son also had gone there. Now she went to meet the spiritual master and she seek the advice of the spiritual master. She told, even I am also eager to have my spiritual upliftment. You had advised my husband also, you had advised my elder son also. Until my younger son is attaining his adulthood, I am managing the kingdom in my own way with the help of my ministers. But at the same time, I want to seek advice from you in the spiritual matters also. Now the guru told that your husband also had come. He also did not fulfill the task. Your elder son also had come. He also did not fulfill the task. Both were arrogant in their own way. Your husband was aged to some extent, and he used to say, I don't have energy for that. So I simplified the task. Your elder son was arrogant. He had enough energy that way. So I actually, even though initially I told the simple task, later on I told him a bigger task. But because of his arrogance only, he also did not fulfill the task. Now what is the point you are coming to me again? You also may not be able to fulfill the task because you will also be busy with your political affairs. Now the queen told, respected Guru, for my political task I have my ministers and my army commanders. They will manage the job. I need not spend all my time in the political affairs. I will find free time for my spiritual progress. I request you to please advise me. Okay, then the Guru told, with your husband, the approach I used was initially the full Bhagavadgeetha, then the third chapter, then one verse in the third chapter. With your son, I reversed the formula where it was initially one verse in the third chapter, then the third chapter itself, then the complete book itself. Now with you, I'll go for the middle approach. You only read the third chapter. That is enough. Now the queen agreed. She went back and she kept on studying the third chapter. She read it once. Afterwards, she read it once again. She read it once again. For about a year, she kept on reading and understanding only the third chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. After about a year, she found that her mind is at peace. Her mind is tranquil. And she found her physical health is improved. Her mental health is stable. And she was having an equanimity or a mental balance. In whatever she was doing, she was having an approach of equanimity and one type of unselfishness. After about a year, she went back to the spiritual master. She prostrated in front of him and she thanked him that this 1 year of study of the third chapter of Bhagavad Gita has helped her a lot in developing an equanimity of the mind and one special mental peace is there with her. And the spiritual master told that is the effect of reading the third chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. That is called Karma Yoga. The first chapter of Bhagavad Gita is Arjuna Vishada Yoga. The second chapter of Bhagavad Gita is Sankhya Yoga. The third chapter of Bhagavad Gita is Karma Yoga. Now the queen asked the Guru, even my husband would have done the task done by you, task told by you. Even he would have read the complete Bhagavad Gita 18 chapters also, but he could not digest one shloka also. Even my elder son could have at least digested one shloka or that one chapter or the complete Bhagavad Gita. Both had the ability and the capability. Still they did not do it, and they still did not attain this peace of mind which I have attained. Now what is the reason that just by reading that particular chapter I have attained the peace of mind, and why they could not do? I want an answer from you. Now Guru told, your husband was busy with his own political affairs. Your elder son was busy with his own political affairs in his own way. Both were busy and both were having a bigger priority than having a peace of mind. You made your border secure and you don't have any enemy attacks. But they were busy in their own political affairs. They did not make the borders also secure, and they had continuous attacks from the enemies. Now, unless they are physically stable, how they can be mentally stable? They were having their own excuses about not to study what I am telling them to study. And even though they were behaving as if they are going to study, internally they were denying their own studying approach itself, because they were using their time for something else always. Now in your case, you already have your ministers and commanders who are taking care of your kingdom. Already you have some physical stability. And when you read this third chapter, that goes into you as a greater wisdom, and you already know that the kingdom does not belong to you. Your younger son is gradually going to grow up, and one day he is going to handle all these political affairs. So as such, you already have a renounced mindset, because you know that you are not going to completely rule the kingdom. But that was not the psychology with your husband and with your elder son. Your husband was thinking that lifelong he'll be ruling the kingdom. And afterwards, when your elder son became a king, he was also thinking that lifelong he's going to rule the kingdom. So that way, they had a bigger attachment towards their own position and power. They were not actually trying to understand the spiritual facet of life. Still, they used to come to me only to show off that they want to have some spiritual touch also. But that is not going to work that way. In your case, you already had a renounced life, because you know that you are not going to be permanently ruling the kingdom. You are waiting for your younger son to become adult. Later on, you are going to pass over this power to him only. Until then, you are going to manage with your own faithful administration. So that is how, as your mindset is already connected to the teachings of the third chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, now you are having the declining of mind. And the lady finally asked the Guru, why you did not tell me about the single verse or about the complete book? Why you told me only the third chapter itself? Then the Guru told, I was just experimenting. I experimented in one way with the king. I experimented in one way with the next son of the king. Now I am experimenting the third way with the wife of the king. This is my way of experimentation. Now if you really want to learn, now you can learn the complete Bhagavad Gita also. Or if you really want to learn, you can keep on learning and relearning about the meaning of the one particular shloka in the same third chapter. Karmanyevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phala heturbu mate sangostvo karmani. That one shloka is also enough. If you want to learn more, you can read the third chapter fully again. Now, if you want to read some more, you can read the complete Bhagavad-Gita. If you want to keep on reading lifelong, you can go through the Prasthanatraya, Shruti, Smriti, Sutra. That way you can utilize your time for your spiritual progress. My dear listeners, all of us have time. How do we use the time is up to us. How do we really want to have a spiritual progress? That is also our choice. Let me proceed to the next slide.